Hello everyone, this is Leonite with Leonite Gaming. Welcome to episode 5 of my Agrarian Skies 2 Let's Play. So as you can notice, there's a couple things different here. This one here, this block, I ended up getting this because the quest here, as I went through them, turns out market research. So you can buy saplings and seeds with this. I had not known that. The recipe for it is actually really simple. 4 wool, 4 planks, and an emerald. Here's how the interface looks. So you can select your seed, tells you how much it is. Page through them. They have a couple other things like bone meal and spawn horse. And then there's also the trees. All the Pam's Harvest Craft trees. Yeah, so there's gold, diamonds, and emeralds are the 3 costs that they have. So I went ahead and I bought the soybean, and I also bought one of the maple saplings. So we can actually go ahead and make these guys now. Not right now, but eventually we'll get to the point of auto-crafting these. And this will be our primary food. So basically we'll be eating one thing every 4 hours. So I also did some modifications to the ore processing. It wasn't going as fast as what I would have liked it to. So I changed out these up on top with item ducts, and there's a signalum servo up on top. So if we look at servos here, this one here, the very basic one, every 3 seconds it'll pull 4 items out. It's kind of slow. Every 2 seconds pulls 16 out. Well, that's a lot better. Every second it'll pull a stack out for the reinforced. Every half a second, 64. Plus it gives a 2x speed modifier. So when they come out, they go twice as fast. So that's what's sitting up there. And these are basically all crafted the same way. It just changes what the glass and the ingots that you're using. There we go. So I went with this one because I made some signalum for some radiant lumium lamps, which are crafted with 2 hardened glass, a signalum ingot, and 2 lumium ingots. These are alloys that you make with, not with you can make them with Tinker Smeltery, but you have to put in blazing pyrotheum instead of lava in order to get it hot enough. So instead I just went with the magma crucible and melted down redstone to get a bucket of redstone, then 3 pulverized copper, and then the pulverized silver gets you 4 signalum. So really cheap. Lumium is pretty much just as cheap. Energized glowstone, which is actually 4 glowstone, a silver, and then 3 tin gets you 4 lumium. So all of this has been replaced because I noticed that the relocators had jammed up over here, but they weren't pushing anything into the pulverizers. So the pulverizers eventually had nothing to do. So I replaced it all with this. So this cabling is a little bit smarter about pushing things in. It's aware of what's in the network and what can accept things, when it can accept things, etc. You'll also notice that I expanded out my crucibles a little bit more, so I got 2 more rows of crucibles. I came over here a while ago and I noticed that my energy cell was completely dead. This was completely out of lava, and the reason for that is this guy here. I went ahead and made a bunch of fortune upgrades. So 64 of these. This guy consumes 326 RF a tick. So that's a lot. Mainly I was going to try to get more diamonds to make more of those, because eventually we'll want to have them full up on this guy here, which is the sand one, to try to get yellorium for big reactors. Someone's got 19 in it right now, and he's consuming 101 RF a tick. So this guy here is also different. I upgraded this from the hardened energy cell to the redstone energy cell. Instead of 800 RF tick, which the hardened one output, this one outputs 2,000 and can hold 10 million RF tick, or RF total. And in order to accommodate for the more power usage, these guys also got an augmentation. The secondary transmission coil doubles their energy produced, but doubles their fuel consumed. And that minus 15% base fuel energy, that basically means that for each unit of lava that it consumes, it produces a little bit, 15% less energy than what it did before this. But it does produce more energy overall, so I went with that for now. I'm probably going to do away with these and just create multiple, or just more magmatic dynamos later. But as you can see, he's reducing at 240 RF a tick. And all three of these have that. So this is 720 RF a tick between the three of those there. And I think that covers everything that I changed over here. I did move a couple things around so that way my ingots are all together. But we're getting quite a bit in. I mean, we already got 16 stacks of iron, 18 diamonds after I used like 40 of them. So we're doing pretty decent. Not exactly where I want to be yet, but we're getting there. And you can see this structure over there. I went ahead and built the mob tower, just because that's kind of a pain to build on camera. So I'll show you guys what it is. And there's 2 radiant lumium labs here, because mobs can't actually destroy these blocks. They can, oh my god, that's loud. There we go. They can't destroy the radiant lumium lamps. They will go ahead and break anything that's easy to break. Like, I had them break my ladders in the tree farm over here. I've had them break torches. I've had them break glowstone blocks, etc. Things that are easy to break, they will break. So, let's see here. Go ahead and pillar our way up here real quick so I can show you what the inside here looks like. And because we don't really want to get shot off, there we go. It's a lot of guys just sitting there. That was amusing. So if you look in here, there are 3x3 platforms. There are a grand total of 16 of those, and each one has a slab in the middle. The reason for the slab is because I don't really want to deal with spider spawning. So spiders will only spawn in a 2x2 area that is, the entire thing is spawnable in. So this prevents all of our spiders from getting in here and clogging the whole thing up and making our mob spawning basically zero. And the reason why they're all moving is you can kind of see in between the mobs there. I put conveyors down. If I can spell. I noticed that the Mine Factory Reloaded ones, when I was playing around in a different world, don't actually move entities anymore. Like, they won't move mobs around, but these from Extra Utilities do. So I needed 1 1/4 stacks, so 64 and 16. So these are actually really cheap to make. Grand total, I think I used 44 iron and 10 redstone. So, and rails are really cheap to make because we don't have Railcraft installed. So that just allows you to move your mobs around. It's basically having like water streams all over the place, but it's much easier to control, and this can be expanded outwards indefinitely. Also, you can expand it up to increase your mob spawning rates, but I get a pretty good spawn as is right now. And I did change that around into the Mine Factory Reloaded one. I didn't change the wheat farm yet. You can see a bunch of other stuff over there. I'll show that in a minute. But I didn't change the wheat farm around yet. I'm going to do that on camera here so you guys know what's going on with that. But the tree farm, I ended up doing that one because I was in desperate need of wood for a few other things that I was working on. God, they're loud. But then I set a bunch of other things up over here. I also blocked off the area going up here because mobs were spawning up here at nighttime when it hadn't finished cutting down a tree, and they broke all these and were all over my base. It was kind of annoying. And I set up a little power system over here. This, I have to manually refill this right now. I haven't got this set up with a B-space barrel, but it uses so little cobblestone as it is that I'm not really even concerned. So here we have a planter. Now this is from Mine Factory Reloaded. I have it set to just put oak saplings everywhere, and I just filled the entire thing up with oak saplings. It's a really easy recipe. Flower pot, which is just 3 brick, 2 plastic sheets, which comes from raw plastic, which you get from smelting down rubber bars, which comes from smelting raw rubber, which you get from rubber trees. So it's really easy to get. Once you have a little bit of it, you don't really need a whole lot. So that's what the planter does. Now this here, it keeps sitting there and idling, and then if it ever finds anything to do, it fills up the work one, and then here's your energy buffer. And there is an upgrade in here. By default, these guys will plant things one layer on the, or plant them on the layer above them. Try to plant things on whatever is above them in a 3x3 area. So it'll plant over here, all of this stuff around it, on top of it. But you can get these upgrades, which again are really easy to make. Raw plastic, 2 redstone, a ore dictionary gold nugget, and then 3 tin ingots. And that gets you a radius increase of 2. Now that's radius. So I said that it would plant here. The radius increase will bring it out to here. So that'll cover the full 7x7. And as you can see, when this thing's running, you get quite a bit of wood coming in pretty quick. So much so that I decided to change this out with a cache, and I went with a reinforced cache because I could afford it at the time. Got 3,700 pieces of oak wood in here, which would just about fill up a normal barrel. These guys can hold 4,096 by default. So this one can hold 160,000, so this is going to last a while. And this is what I meant by the progress bar when I mentioned that last time. So I have kind of a similar setup over here. I have just the lava generating over here, pumping in all the way over to the magmatic dynamo. Right now it's literally not doing anything. This is a hardened energy cell that was over in the ore processing. I used hardened over here because we're going to have a lot of we should have 8 harvesters set up over here, one for each 7x7 plot. So this is going to go away this episode. And then I also have an item ducts running over here to a wheat barrel. I plan on having ex nihilo barrels all along this wall, 25 of them total. And then I'm also going to have another barrel over here for dirt. So this will, I'm probably going to use a resonant servo and a resonant retriever, pumping the wheat into all the different barrels, and the retriever will just pull them all back over to the one spot. And so while this will be running constantly filling up a barrel, constantly making us dirt until we're completely backstuffed on dirt, and then we will basically have as much dirt as we're ever going to want. So I have a couple recipes set up right now, so we can go ahead and I can show you what the harvester does and how it works. So this is a recipe for the harvester. 2 gold gears, redstone reception coil, which is the one with gold in the middle, basic machine frame, which tin gear, 4 glass, and 4 iron ingots, 2 Invar axes, shears, and 2 plastic sheets. So go ahead and grab that, and we'll also grab this tin upgrade as well because we want it to have a 7x7 radius. Now almost all of the Mine Factory Reloaded machines can take these upgrades. There are exceptions, of course. The grinder, which will go ahead and kill any mobs that are around, that one does not accept range upgrades. I'm trying to think, the chronotyper doesn't, the breeder doesn't. There's a few of them that don't. But anyway, so this right up here is that wooden water tank from AgCraft I told you about. Those are actually really easy to make. It's just 7 planks, any planks that you want, and this actually forms a multi-block structure. It can be any size you want. I think any size. I'm not sure what the maximum size is, but it can be a 1x1, a 2x2, a 3x3. It can be a 1x3, but you can't have one row of a 1x3 and then a 1x2. This will form into a multi-block, and then these will be individuals because they're connected to this, but they're not the full length. But then as soon as you place this one here, it'll form into a 2x3. So it has to be square, however you're doing, or not square, rectangular of any form, including squares. So we're going to go ahead and place this harvester down. Now theoretically it should start running immediately, which yes it is. But it's only in a 3x3. So we're going to pop in here, And the UI in here is very similar. If you have it for cutting wood, trees, you can say, hey, I want you to shear the leaves instead of breaking them for saplings. Really good if you're trying to get a lot of dirt in a skyblock map, but you have to be very careful because you can easily run yourself out of saplings and then be stuck trying to find more saplings. And then small shrooms, I'm not exactly sure what this one does. I believe it has to do with growing growing mushrooms on mycelium. I'm not entirely sure. And then this is the sludge. I normally don't do anything with this, but you can pump this out. It's just a normal ore dictionary, or it's a normal liquid, and you can pump it into what's called a sludge boiler. Iron gears, redstone receptor coil, that's with the gold in the middle, bucket machine frame, etc. This guy, you don't want to be by it, but you can pump fluid into it, and you can pump items out of it, or it'll auto output items like sand, dirt, clay, soul sand, things of that nature. Any kind of soft material that you can place can get pumped out of this. But like I said, you don't want to be standing near it, especially in Agrarian Skies or any kind of mod that where if you run out of hunger, you die instantly. Because this will apply a poison effect on you and a hunger effect any time you're near it. So you want to be very careful about that. But we'll go ahead and throw that guy in there, and it will go ahead and harvest all of this quickly. And as you can see, it's pumping out the bottom there. And we'll just run over here quick. And you can see it all pumping down through the pipes. I did notice that it a lot of times pumps out the bottom, but occasionally it shoots things out the back if it's moving too quick. So that's why I have both connections there, just because I don't want to deal with occasionally having things drop on the ground. And then these guys will just come over and fill up this barrel. I'll just leave it there to fill up for right now. I'm not really concerned about it, about dealing with the product. So one other thing that I'm going to do for this water tank is I'm going to put an aqueous accumulator in the middle here. Aqueous accumulator is from thermal expansion that generates water from the air at a very slow rate. However, if you put it in between, if you create an infinite water source, and then you put the aqueous accumulator in one of the spots that will regenerate once you take it, it will essentially produce 1 bucket of water every 10 ticks or something like that. It's pretty quick that it generates it. Then I'll just pump it up into this water tank up here to make sure that it never runs out of water, and it's constantly hydrating all of our plants and making them grow faster. And I did go ahead and start getting into Botania, so I do have the ring of magnetization, which is made with mana steel ingots, which you can get from dropping an iron ingot into one of these guys, and I'll show you these guys in a minute. It's also, you also need a mana lens of magnetizing, which is a mana lens, iron and gold. And then the mana lens itself is just 4 more mana steel ingots and a glass pane. So these guys here, you normally start out with a diluted mana pool, which is 5 living rock. You can't actually craft these. So you start out with a diluted mana pool. Hey, great. Let me turn that down a little bit. That's better. So you start out with a diluted mana pool. You have to pump mana into it, which is what this mana spreader does. It's gathering all the energy from all these flowers here, collecting it, and then shooting it into the mana pool, which is just storing the mana. So you start out with the diluted one. It can't hold much, and it has one thing that you can craft with it. And that's putting another diluted mana pool in to get a mana pool. So once you have an actual mana pool, it can store a lot more. And then these guys, these are day blooms, which is the light blue, the orange, and then 2 yellows. And those were the 3 that I mentioned that I really needed to make in order to get started in Botania, to get that ring of magnetization. So I ended up getting those to a 10-10-10 seed between last episode and this. I actually got quite a bit done. So I go ahead and got a bunch more. Got some reds. I didn't upgrade all those all the way. I got an asparagus or artichoke one because that was one of the quests that I needed to do. And then I also got a pure daisy, which I had to do in order to get the living wood and living stone. And these guys are 4 whites into the Petal Apothecary. And how the Petal Apothecary works, if you've never played with it before, go ahead and get my bucket here. So you take whatever petals that you need, and then you can also go ahead, you'll also need a seed of some form. So I'm just going to use potato seeds here because I got a bunch of them. So you come over here, you put water into here, and then you drop your items into it, and you can see them floating in there. They actually look kind of cool. And then you drop, once you have your recipe done that you want, you drop seeds in. Consumes the water, consumes everything in there, and then you get back whatever it was. So I just got the pure daisy. So kind of a neat crafting mechanic, very, very different. So I also complete, like I mentioned, I have a lot of quests completed here. So I went ahead and got the artichokes, so I'll go ahead and claim that. Redstodendrons, I had to get that to get a lot of redstone, so we'll grab that. Upgrading seeds. Now this one wanted a 10-10-10 wheat seed, so I'm glad that I did that in the beginning. So, and that'll give us a magnum torch, which is kind of cool, but I want to be careful so I don't screw up the spawning of that guy there. But, and then I'll also look at market research here, and this is the market that I told you about. Let's grab that guy, and irrigation. So wooden irrigation channels, wooden water tanks. Shows you a recipe for wooden water tanks. Irrigation channels are even easier. 3 planks gives you 6 of them. So they're very, very cheap to make. So these guys are the channel valves. Now these are kind of cool. You can put these in replacement for these irrigation channels. Since they take one, they actually fit in the same spot. But you can put a lever on the side of it and control the flow of water, whether or not you want water to flow through this one or not. So you can very easily block off certain parts of your irrigation system with this. And it wants us to make that, so we might as well make it. Might as well open the reward bag while I'm at it. Yay! I ended up getting some plus 10% speed boots when I was killing guys, plus a increased attack damage one, so we'll go ahead and put those guys on at least. Give me a little more armor. Now the one other thing it wanted us to make that I haven't made yet is the sprinkler, which is plank and some iron. Let's grab some iron. Not like we're hurting for iron anymore. Let's go ahead and make all the stuff that we need to make for this. Alright, and then I have irrigation channels here somewhere. There we go. And they're shapeless, but I usually do in the same way that NEI has it. So there's that one. I'm not actually going to use that one because I'm not going to have need for it right now. But then the other thing it wanted was this, I believe. And I also need a plank. And it would be my luck to have a plank around here, but we're going to do that. And a sprinkler. And that should complete this guy. So we'll go ahead and claim that. We got 4 more sprinklers too, which is pretty cool. Now this one here wants us to get tomatoes. So I'll go ahead and do that between last episode and this one, or next episode. Cannot speak. This episode and next one. And then Tinker Toys, I just turned a couple of the congealed slime blocks that I had into slime balls so that we complete this one. Haven't done anything more on it, but we do have the Signalum ingot and the Mana Steel, so all we need now is the Enderium and we can complete this one. So I'll do that between this episode and next one. And then couple quests in here, the daily one here, another daily one, and then the slime balls from doing the previous one. But this one here tells you that if you take a barrel of water, right-clicking it with milk, and wait, it'll eventually spawn a slime. It puts a slime block in the barrel that you can right-click to get out, or you can wait and a slime will actually spawn, and you'll usually get more slime from doing it that way. Alright, so there's that stuff, and the botanical engineering. A couple more completed here. So this one here was making the petal apothecary, which is very simple to make. I'll show you that real quick. Oh, so you can change the way they look later on with these metamorphic mesa cobblestones. I forget how to make those, but anyway, so it's 2 cobblestone slabs, 4 cobblestone, and a petal any color, and make your petal apothecary. So really easy to make. And then the mana pool. So I showed you how to make the mana pool. The mana spreader is very easy. You get this living wood, which you make with the pure daisy by putting down logs right around it in the 3x3 area around it, and then waiting, it'll eventually turn into living wood. To get living rock, you put smooth stone around it as well, and then just wait. So these guys are 6 living wood, any petal, and an ingot of gold. Let's go ahead and claim that, and I'm not sure what the mana pump is. I don't see anything in there talking about that either. So the pure daisy, showed you how to make that one, and then this one here talks about how to get these. Plant the pure daisy and place stone and wood around it for purification. So we'll grab the reward bag. And then solar power. So these day blooms. I showed you how to make the day blooms. These guys run only during the day. Like right now it's not running because it's raining. And they don't really produce much in the way of mana. But if you have a lot of them, like I did over there, they produce a decent enough amount that you can actually get something for it. So let's go ahead and claim that. And then this one here wants us to make a redstone mana spreader, which is nice and simple to make, but I haven't got around doing that yet. This one here wants us to get into rune crafting of Botania, which is there's a runic altar, and it takes 6 items and a bunch of mana to produce these runes. And these runes are used as crafting components for other things. But we'll get into that later. And then again, brewing. I don't have the resources to make the botanical brewery yet, so we'll have to get into that at another time. And then just some more flowers, like the Oriflora, the orchid. This one, when you put smooth stone around it or nearby it, it will consume a bunch of mana and replace that smooth stone with random ore blocks. Could be a coal ore, could be an iron ore, a copper ore, a tin ore, etc. Hydropower, these guys run off from water basically. So you have still water by it, it will consume it and produce power. Very slowly, mind you. And the vacuum flower. This is basically a area of effect hopper. The hopper hawk works by sucking items around it and putting them into an inventory nearby it. So they're kind of cool, but I don't have a use for them right now, so I'm going to hold off on making this until we get a little bit more situated with Botania stuff. And I believe that is all the quests that I have. Yes, that is all the quests that I have to hand in. So let's take a look at our reward bags here. Sharpness 5, not bad. Educational, I'm not sure. I really have no idea what that one does, but that's okay. Alright, so we'll come over here. Actually, we're going to sleep through the night quick and get rid of this rain so it's easier to show you the sprinkler. And I actually want another piece of dirt too. Alright, so that'll do. I'm just going to place one of these sprinklers because I don't have anything else set up yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to put the sprinkler right here. And as you can see, that starts spraying water all over the place. And it looks like it might go a little further than this, but this is the edge of where it goes. So it'll cover a 7x7 area, and it actually increases the growth of everything around here. If I remove that, this area will always stay hydrated. I don't have to worry about that. Let's see here. I don't have my watering can on me. Of course not. Oh, I'll go ahead and get this one into a wheat a little bit later. But yeah, so these 10-10-10s plus the combination of the sprinkler means that this stuff grows much, much quicker than your normal crops actually would. I did actually have, just as an experiment, you can see a mana burst right there. I had 4 7x7 plots of wheat, and I was producing wheat so fast that I constantly had a stream of wheat in the item ducts running underneath here. Not this particular one, but the other world. It was a little bit crazy. So between this episode and next one, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and complete a few more quests, like some more crossbreeding with the agricraft stuff, because I know that's actually pretty boring. I could just go ahead and buy stuff, but I'll probably end up just crossbreeding them and getting up to max value. I'm also going to work a little bit more with this area. Probably get some more fortune upgrades in these guys, and don't know if I'm going to for the automatic sieve, but I'm also going to go ahead and get at least 49 basic machine frames and set them up over here, and so I can set up the redstodendron and have unlimited redstone for whatever I want to do with it. I think that'd be kind of cool. I also want to get into some more of the agricraft seeds. Let's do that. So, like there's ferronium, which would be ferrous metal, or iron, I'm sorry, that one's iron. Dimalia, which I can only assume is diamonds. Argold, which is gold, and Lapender. I do want to get this one sooner rather than later, pink tulip and blue orchid. So I can make the pink tulip right now, because I want to get fortune 3 or looting 3 on my Alamite broadsword that I made here. So I think that'd be pretty nice to have. So, but like I said, between this episode and next one, I'll go ahead and start working on some more seeds and get those a little better. I'm going to work on this a little bit more. I'm probably going to have to, actually I know I'm going to have to improve my power production plant facilities over there. And I might also start looking at setting up an automatic kill system for the mob grinder, or mob tower. And I might actually improve that a little bit more and put another layer on top if I'm going to start doing auto killing as well. So yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.